Before we get started tonight with an episode of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce y'all to a couple of our sponsors. First, the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations. Players playing to play and host so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you've been waiting for. You can find them on social media at Twitter at SoCal Warriors, on Instagram, Southern California _Warriors, and on Facebook, Southern California Warriors. Background Check International. Are you looking for a background check for a new hire on? Let Kit Freeman take care of that for you. Kit founded and has managed Background Check International since 1994, and he's here to help you with the screening process. Contact Kit and let him make the hiring process that much easier for you. This business is used for professional background checks and not for the use of any crimes such as identity theft or any other illegal activity. You can find them on social media at Facebook at Background Check International, BCI, or on the website, bcint.com. Now to the show. With the mass cancellations in college basketball and the NBA, can these leagues rebound and finish the season through with winter coming around? I'll discuss that and much more on that front. Also, Anthony Davis, out for 4 weeks with an MCL sprain. Can he come back strong and kind of help guide the Lakers into a top 6 seed? Or maybe he can't. I'll discuss that as well. And much more here on IE Sports Fast Break for IE Sports Radio. Live on speaker. Your direct feed for that all is sports. And you are welcome to join us. Join us as you shout tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Davidson here riding solo tonight. Don Terriers has prior obligations to go to tonight, so I am tuned in with I am locked in with y'all tonight. Shout out to the chat joining us tonight as well. If you love this show and you love this network, we are on patreon.com. Just look for us on IE Sports Radio, so please support us there if you can. That is patreon.com. And look for IE Sports Radio. And if you love us here on Fast Break or any other shows in the network, give your support. Help us out. We would greatly appreciate it. And shout out to our Patreon supporters. Still Bay Area Rays and Marcus Los. Great. Thank y'all so much for y'all Patreon support. I'll see you, Tim. I'll get to Anthony Davis here in a second. But I think the biggest fish right now is COVID. COVID right now, it's rearing its ugly head, not just in the basketball world, but everywhere else in sports. NFL, NBA, college sports, you name it. It's kind of coming back real strong. There's a new variant out there that's really mutated this thing, and it's kind of really kicking ass. And we've seen the effects of it in the basketball world. I think right now, before I got on the air, that Andrew Wiggins is going to the health and safety protocol. And lucky for Mr. Wiggins, he got vaccinated before the season, so he won't see much effect and penalty of missing a few games here. But I bring this up and to say, and I see fans and stuff get mad and stuff like this. And I say like this. I think everybody has come to an agreement. Well, not to agreement, but, it's like an understanding like, okay, I think this thing's going to be around. We just kind of truck through it. If we put these things here, these guidelines and stuff like that, I think things will go smooth. For the most part. And for the most part, things have gone, I say, okay. As some of y'all know, I'm a Tennessee Titans fan. And when they first had the NFL's first outbreak, everybody was trying to, kick him out the league and all this stuff just because, things got to get changed around. It's like an inconvenience for everybody else. And you got a lot of pushback on the other side saying, hey, we all know what the deal is if we don't go through this. And also around that time, it wasn't a vaccine available too. That's the other thing what these numbnuts didn't really grasp at that time. Now you kind of looking about a year and some months now of all these leagues. You see the NFL changing around things. You see the NBA changing around things. And now the NBA saying, they may do less testing for systematic players and let them still play. That's not really how that should go. Because, they might test positive and they're asymptomatic. They still can pass it around. That's the issue. And I'll be honest with you. We really never really defeated this virus. And we kind of let this thing still linger around and around and around and around. To the point that, I listened to the Aaron Torres podcast, who's based out of Southern Cal, and Taryn, I don't know if you're familiar with him or not. I listened to his latest show. The first 10 minutes of it was just a whole bunch of babble. Funny, I'm babbling too, but just a lot of babble saying just because there are outbreaks within these teams doesn't mean you should cancel whole events. I said, dog. I was like, where are you going with this? Because if y'all go back and listen, it's just really a whole bunch of nothing. He's saying like, if players test positive, they shouldn't cancel the whole thing. But we don't know where these guys go, where they've been, to go to the Memphis and Tennessee game, for example. That's supposed to be played yesterday. Allegedly, just allegedly, that some Memphis players went out to a party in Nashville that night before. And that's how some of them may have gotten sick or there was contact tracing there in that part, and they decided to cancel. That's what happened there. And unfortunately, for Memphis, who seemed like they won, the game in a lifetime against Alabama just a few days before, come to the little bit momentum against Tennessee, and then all that happened. And shout out to Tennessee men's basketball, for them, those guys scrimmage and stuff like that in Nashville. Shout out to them. They ain't waste the opportunity. They got some minutes there, got some burn. Good for them. But, to kind of counter what Aaron Torres said, just because things ain't going your way or things you want to go your way, just because things ain't going your way, just because, we got a vaccine, a cure and stuff like that, don't mean the thing's over. And that's kind of what the problem is with this COVID situation. We never squashed the opportunity when we should. I understand these leagues and these college universities, they gotta make their money. A lot of money is ran through sports, whether it's gambling, merchandise, etc. I get that. But we kind of seen the ramifications of not squashing this thing in the first place. And it's kind of rearing its ugly head again. Kevin Durant is out. Alabama men's basketball team had to finally replace it for the C.M. Newton Classic in Birmingham when Colorado State had to bow out. They found a replacement in Davidson, but still, you get where I'm going with this. For me, living here in Alabama, I haven't seen any high school basketball games get canceled because of coronavirus cases. I pray that they don't happen. It sucks. Those guys and gals lose 2 weeks at a time, or maybe 14 days at a time, and that's a lot of games in between that time. I don't want to see that happen to those group of kids. It sucks. But we got to know that with this season, coming around, and with the winter coming in, we'll be more indoors a lot more. It's easy for football because you're outside. The air dissipates and all that stuff. The virus gets killed in the air and all that stuff. Unless you're a real nasty individual and don't know how to take care of yourself for the sake of others. But I hope, for fans out there that are mad because your precious football games get moved, your basketball games get moved. Think about this. I'd rather see them healthy for the long run, and then things, get better and stuff like that. Instead of, I say this. I'd rather them take precautions beforehand, be on the safe side, and then we'll see, come tournament time, we're canceling games. So yeah, if a Memphis and Tennessee got canceled Saturday, okay, cool. I'd rather see Memphis and Tennessee play in March somewhere in damn Denver, Colorado. I'd rather you know, have Bulls postpone their games now than come, April when they're in the playoffs. Duke, Alabama, the Lakers, Phoenix Suns. Y'all get where I'm going with this. So it's better to be safe now than later on sorry. When we really come tournament time in both leagues, hopefully the bitching gets out of the way now compared to later. And speaking of bitching, which kind of leads me to my next target, Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is out for 4 weeks, according to multiple reports from Shams, Mike Trudell, who covers the Lakers, Woj, whoever. He's going to be out 4 weeks for an MCL sprain. An MCL sprain that he suffered against the Timberwolves. My thing with Anthony Davis is that I hate, this me personally as a Laker fan, I hated that they viewed him. I could see why, but I hated that they viewed him as the next franchise cornerstone, in which he never really proved that in New Orleans. Let me say that again. I hated how the Lakers gave up all that young wealth and draft capital for a guy they really never showed to be that dude like that in New Orleans. Now, some of y'all probably thinking, what the hell are you talking about? Anthony Davis did this and that and other, and why he's in New Orleans. Yeah, to a degree. But think about this. The guy has never played a full season. Ever. The guy only led the Pelicans out of first round once in his time. I know me and Don Terry didn't talk about this when the NBA 75 list came out, which we should have. But if you look at the 75 years in the NBA, does he deserve to be on that 75 list? If you look at his track record and whatnot, do y'all think he's deserving to be on that list? Over some other names? No. Do I think Anthony Davis is a fine player? Yes. Is he someone I'm hitching my ride on? It's tough to say. And I don't know if him going out is going to hurt or help things. Because if you think about Anthony Davis this year as a Laker, his defense that people kind of harp on and kind of like about him, his defense, it's been non-existent this year. It's been very poor. Very poor. That we've seen, Karl Anthony Towns really take advantage of that. And, to Karl Anthony Towns, it's about time you start playing the post a little bit more. Instead of trying to be like Sam Perkins Jr. We seen like earlier in the year when they played Phoenix, they used and abused him. The infamous, him and Dwight Howard scuffle on the bench. I don't know what he's going to be like when he comes back. It's It's like, okay, if he comes back, cool. If he doesn't, cool. Look at the Lakers right now. Some of these pickups they have picked up so far this year really hasn't been up to snuff. Dwight Howard, DeAndre Jordan, interchangeable. Kent Bazemore, I don't know why they picked him up. That could be used for another young guy that could have been in development. Russ, I, I don't know about that one, how it's going to pan out. Hell, there's any stories coming out that Anthony Davis and Russ have been kind of talked about in trade talks. Just talking, but nothing set in stone. And I kind of don't blame the Lakers for that. Tonight, they're playing the Bulls right now. They're down 12-6. Excuse me, 12-8 right now. Can they go a little run and, do some things about Davis and kind of show him, well, maybe we can move on from him? And for Anthony Davis, the nickname they saying online for him is calling him street clothes. He got to shake that notion off. He got to. Because once people get that mindset of that nickname, then they don't expect too much out of you. They may expect a few things here, but if you go down, it's like, oh well, he got his clothes ready out in the locker room. And it's looking at right now for the Lakers so far, 3 points for Isaiah Thomas, who got in the start today. Wade Ellington, no points. DeAndre Jordan, 4 points. 2 points for LeBron. One guy, let's see. I'd like to see how he does is Trevor Ariza, how he fits in with this team, what look he's going to bring. We're still waiting to hear back from hear from Kendrick Nunn when his debut will be. Carmelo's been like a lifesaver for this team. For some of the games, he's contributed to this year. And for the Bulls side of things, one of the surprise teams in the league so far. They had that home health crisis as well. So much so they had to cancel games. And for them, they weathered the storm pretty good until they had to do those cancels of the games. They got DeRozan, Green back, and Kobe White back in the fold. DeRozan, 3 for 3 so far, 6 points, playing very well. Right now, come back from the coronavirus. With Vooch having 5 and 4 so far. So, if the Bulls can bounce back with all those guys missing and beat the Lakers, that's a great confidence booster for them. Great for them. For having all those guys missed, and you come back and beat the Lakers, great confidence booster for them. And they decided, I was like, okay, nothing really been missed while we've been out sick. And for the Lakers, who down by 5 right now, 20-15, with 3:25 left in the first quarter. I think for them, they haven't found that identity. They don't know what they are. They sound these veterans, but what are you signing him for? You know, if you're a Frank Vogel, you're a defensive minded guy. You know, Melo, he's all right on defense, but you know, he's in his mid-30s. Rondo, same thing. LeBron, same thing. Westbrook, he's about my age. So I don't know what this Lakers team's gonna be, with or without Anthony Davis. It's like they're scared to turn off to Anthony Davis because of injury history. But in the same breath, should you really count on that because of his injury history? It's tough to say. It really is. And if you're the Lakers, do you send feelers out there and try to train the man? You have to really think about that. I know you got to see your investment through. I know you guys gave a lot of guys for him. But if this is the results he's going to get, and yes, I know they won a championship, and he came in and brought in a championship, but still, you got to look at that long-term picture. You brought this guy in to be the next in line. From Mikan to Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, um, Elgin Baylor, Kareem, Magic, Shaq, Kobe, Pau Gasol, to LeBron. And the next person should be Anthony Davis, but it's not. It is not. And it kind of pains me to say it because I really like the dude. I like his playing style, but it really pains me to say it. Before I go over the rest of our topics here tonight, I wanted to talk about y'all about IESportsRadio.com. It's the holiday season. And we got a lot of great stuff on IESportsRadio.com. T-shirts, hoodies, sweaters, even Christmas ornaments. Very beautiful Christmas ornaments, I should say. Black and white ones. So check out IESportsRadio.com for all your holiday needs. And also, while you're on IESportsRadio.com, you can check out the playback on this show, along with the other shows on our network. We got you covered from volleyball, boxing, from soccer/football, and to American football. Plus, hey, if you're a fan of Minnesota sports, we got you covered. If you're a fan of Carolina sports in that region, we got you covered. DC, we got you covered. New York, Philly, we got you covered. So check us out on iSportsRadio.com for all your sports needs. We'll take care of you. Going around the rest of the NBA right now in Sunday's action. We had the Kings beating the Spurs 121-14. 29 points for Buddy Hield, 7 for 9 for 3-point land. Great game for him. 23 points for Damon Jones off the bench. Guys kind of been hanging around the league, on and off squads throughout the past few years. So, Seems like he's kind of finding a place right there in Sacramento. So good game for him off the bench. 23 points, 8 rebounds off the bench. 27 points for Tyrese Halliburton. 27 points, 11 assists. Great game for him. 14.7 rebounds for Harrison Barnes. He is kind of cooled down from early this season. So hopefully, if Sacramento was trying to make a run, Barnes got to get back to that 20-point scoring level that he was early in the season. For the Spurs, 25 points for Dejounte Murray, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. That dude's a baller. That dude is damn near like close to a walking triple-double. So, if some of these other young guys, like a Walker, Josh Primo, can kind of elevate with them, I think you can get something going right there. For the Spurs from that backcourt. Keldon Johnson, 16 points, 11 rebounds for him. 5 for 14 shooting. That 5 for 14 got to get a little better for him. So, great job for the Kings coming up and winning tonight. Let's see. Right now, the Suns in the first quarter are beating the brakes out of the Hornets 31-13. Devin Booker back in the lineup for the Suns tonight. So far, he has 4 points. So, he's getting his legs under him after coming back from a leg injury. Miles Bridges has 8 points so far. DeAndre Ayton, 9 points, 8 rebounds so far for him. He's having an excellent game down low. And for the Nuggets, for the Hornets, the 2 points for Terry Rozier, 0 for LaMelo Ball, who's 0 for 6 from the field right now. That's got to be better for him. Gordon Hayward leads the way with 5 points. So, I'm not saying, Charlotte can get back on it, but it seems like, once the Phoenix Suns kind of gets ahead, on these teams, they really kind of don't let up. So, we'll see if Charlotte can make a run and come back in that game. And then closely in this game right here, Blazers up 103 to 100 on the Grizzlies. So far, Damian Lillard has 32 points and 5 assists for to lead the Trailblazers. Nurkic 9 and 11 rebounds, 28 points for Norman Powell. So he's kind of been stepping up his play with McCollum out right now. I wasn't the biggest fan of giving Powell that big contract that they did. But at times when they need him to step up, he stepped up. And for the Grizzlies side of things, 37 points for Dylan Brooks. He's kind of picked up that scoring since John Morant's been out. Jaren Jackson, 11 points for him. He fouled out with 6 fouls. He's got to play a little bit better than that. And you expect the guy who dropped, top 5 a few years ago, you expect him to be, to kind of pick up that mantle since Morant is gone out with injury. And the Blazers kind of sealed the deal, 105-100. So they have beaten the Grizzlies in Memphis there. So big win for them. Elsewhere on the league, the Pistons beating the Heat today. Big win for the Pistons, kind of like a confidence booster for the young squad. Kay Cunningham, 4 points, 10 assists, 3 rebounds, but he fouled out. Young guy got to play better. Got to play smarter. But Sadiq Bey, a guy that kind of been like a real gem of a find for the Pistons. A real good get for them. 26 points for him to lead the way for the Pistons. Killian Hayes, 11 points for him. You got 12 points for Frank Johnson off the bench. So, good production all around for them. Isaiah Stewart, 14 rebounds starting wise. And then with the Heat, no Butler playing tonight. You know, you had Kyle Lowry had 19 points, but you had Max Strauss, the fourth-year man out of DePaul, 24 points off the bench for them. And I'll say this. I've discussed this in the past and about, the Heat. They have found these guys off the bench, undrafted, to come in and fill in nicely in their bench roles. Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson. Now Strauss kind of looked like that next guy in line that is going to be like a good key contributor for them down the line. Or player elsewhere in the league. So shout out to the Miami scouting department. Finding these guys and having them buy in that Heat culture they have down there with Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra. Very good job. Find these guys and develop them like that. And then elsewhere in the league right now, Minnesota up by 3 on the Dallas Mavericks. Luka is still out for the Mavs right now. You got Tim Hardaway Jr. Leading the way for 12 points. Porzingis, he just had 2 points so far. That's got to get better. And for Porzingis, you talking about a guy that should be carrying the load or help carrying the load better with Doncic. It really hasn't been like that for the most part of the season. And I thought that since Doncic is out, I thought he would take more advantage of that. But it seemed like at times he really hasn't. Now maybe, he'll get things cooking here later on, but still, 2 points. And you playing against Karl-Anthony Towns that really ain't gonna scare you defensively like that. You gotta get your weight up on that. Got to. And speaking of Karl-Anthony Towns, 9 points for him, 3 rebounds so far, and he's got to take advantage of that down low defense against the Mavs. That he got to take advantage of that, like he did with the Lakers. He got to take advantage of that down there. So have your big behind down the block, posting up Porzingis, Dwight Powell, and go to work on those guys. 3 points from D'Angelo Russell so far. Malik Beasley, who kind of killed the Lakers the other night, 3 points for him so far. Listen, if the Timberwolves, I said this on Twitter before, if these guys can, their big three average at least about 28 points a game, that'd go a long way for them to kind of make a run for the playoffs, for a playoff spot. And then, Beasley come off the bench. If he gives you a good 15 or so off the bench, you're doing some things. Along with Jared Vanderbilt as well. You get some good spot games from like guys Nas Reed and so forth. You got some things cooking there. But, those games happen so far in between that, the Timberwolves can't string enough long games like that to kind of be that dominant force like that. And they're young too. They're mid-20s. That's the thing. That's the thing that's kind of frustrating with them. They all, with Russell and Towns around the same age. They should be leading the charge. And Edwards, same thing. And then with Malik Beasley off the bench, 25 as well. So you got the right guys' age. They can score and one's not. Bring different attributes to the squad. But they really kind of haven't took advantage of that yet. And it sucks to see that. They got the potential too. That's why we did the preview series. That's why I like... if they could put it together, yeah, they could be real scary. But my thing is with Towns, especially with, with the Rona and all that stuff, he's taking a lot of emotional toll and stuff like that, and sometimes that doesn't translate well into games at times. So you gotta think about that. When you talk about the Timberwolves. Looking at the men's sides of things of college basketball real quick. Top 25 action. You got Texas beating Stanford. But, that's, ifs and buts, though. And then you got Iowa State beating Southeast Louisiana 77-54. So good win for the Cyclones there. Going back to Saturday's action. Top 25. Butler beat the brakes out of Purdue. 77-48 in that College Sports Classic. Purdue, yeah, I know they lost a little bit earlier in the season, but, to Rutgers, that last second shot, but they kind of bounced back, beat NC State, turn around, beat in-state rival Butler. So you really can't hate on that, if you're the Boilermakers. I still got them, if things kind of ride out as scheduled through the rest of the season. You talk about, a top 5 team for the rest of the season. You talk about a team potentially play for a 1 seed in the tournament. I think, they will get some pushback from, down the schedule here from Wisconsin, Michigan, and Ohio State, and Michigan State. I think if they take care of those games there, I think they'll go a long way for them and showing the committee's eyes that they can be a force to be reckoned with come March, and they be deserving of that number 1 seed. Now, I do see Indiana. Indiana kind of tough. Mike Wilson, a tough guy. And got his team playing tough right now. So that's another team to keep an eye on that. Gonzaga beating Texas Tech 69-55. We know with Texas Tech, when Chris Beard was there, he kind of left a defensive identity there. And that kind of showed in this game here. Gonzaga shooting 42% from the field, 43% from the field. 42% for 3-point land. 5 of 10 for 3-point land for Bolton. 50 points for him. 4 for 8 for Neimarhard. 16 points for him. Holgram, 11 rebounds, 5 points. Kind of, I don't say quiet, but, I still need that juice from him. I still waiting for that game to give me that juice for him. Drew Timme, 7.4 rebounds for him. Not a big factor for him in this game. Especially, how defensive minded they are, but lucky for them, they win by double digits. So good for the Bulldogs. USC beating Georgia Tech 67-53. Despite the 25 points from DeVore, still wasn't enough to kind of lead them against USC. Mobley had 11 points, 5 rebounds, 16 points for Ellis, 14 for Peterson. All your stars in double digits will go a long way for your team. So good win for the Trojans to go move to 12-0 and one of the teams that really don't get talked a lot, in college basketball. Everybody's kind of harping on, staying on the Duke, Purdue, Gonzaga, Alabama, and Kentucky train. But USC should be deserving that talk as well. And speaking of Kentucky, They had beat the brakes off of North Carolina the other night. 98-69. Woo! That was a beat down on that game. Shout out to Shavir Wheeler. 26 points, 8 assists for him. 12 for 15 from the field. Straight domination. 18 points for Grady. 16 points, 12 rebounds from Tshabi. Tsihibwe. And he's been having a hell of a season, by the way. 60 points, 14 rebounds. A monster down low. That cat really kind of has needed, for a good while in Kentucky. He needed that toughness down low, and that brother right there from the Congo is definitely giving him that. And Taryn is saying in the chat that USC sadly has entered COVID protocols and their game against Oklahoma State is canceled. Yeah, it sucks, Taryn. It sucks. And, I discussed that, early episode. That, I think it's just the nature of the beast. I think that's where we at. And since we, as a country here, or in society as a whole, really never decide, hey, we're going to beat this thing. We kind of let this thing linger around, and now it's still kind of affecting us, vaccine and all, and everybody allowed to get a booster shot now. It's still whipping our ass. So, it sucks for USC. I hate to see those guys lose out on games like this. Because they're on a roll right now. Undefeated. And I think they probably could have got Oklahoma State as well. So it sucks for the Trojans. A lot of good positive things have been going for USC as a school for the past month or so. Lincoln Riley coming in, having a nice recruiting class, coming in, turn that ship around. Your basketball program playing great right now. It just sucks that we're here at this point. And nobody knows what the answer to do. Nobody really knows. And then Terrence says he couldn't believe Memphis beat Alabama. It says, I thought the Tower was going to roll. Well, Nate Oates, and out of his own mouth, said that he may have scheduled too tough of a schedule. Because, in the game before that, they played Houston. Played great against Houston. But, one thing Houston gave fits on was rebounding. And that's what Memphis really took advantage of. At times when Alabama goes small down low, Memphis took advantage of it. The weak side rebounding, not boxing out. Memphis took great advantage of it. So, we talk about Memphis and, I'll say their struggles, but, not being a complete team, but they got a lot of talent that if they could piece things together, you really don't want to see them. And they show glimpses of that in that game. I'm not saying, for Memphis, they're going to string running wins and stuff like that. And who knows how they'll play against, Tennessee this past Saturday if things didn't happen what happened. But Memphis, if they can use this game as a motivator. Hey, great for them. I don't think it's going to happen. They'll win double-digit games and get into the tournament. But that point guard play for them, if they don't got that solidified and whatnot, then it's going to be a long season for them. And don't expect them to make a run in the tournament. For the Badminton side of things in that game, the big men, they got to figure out who can stick in the lineup, who can stick in there with if they go small on the young guards, who can be that dominant presence down low. Can it be Bidalko, the freshman for Canada? Could be. He had 7 rebounds. Last night against Jacksonville State. They also fouled out as well. The Darius Miles kid, he's okay, but he really has shown that defensive intensity, that kind of like what Nate Oates and company kind of want to bring to the table. So, if Bama can figure that out, and maybe go a little bit deeper in their bench, because they only play like 8 guys when they play Jacksonville State. So you got to figure out, if some of those other bigs on your roster, like Alex Tiaku, or Keon Ambrose Hilton. If you got to find out what you got on those guys down low to give you a boost down there for rebounding purposes and defense down low. Sometimes the guards going to do so much at the top. You need that backside helping defense. And if you depend on Bidalko all year for that, then you're going to be in for a long season. You'll get away with certain teams, but like a Kentucky, like I just mentioned, you're gonna meet for a long battle down low for that. Going back to yesterday, Arizona, number team, playing very great right now, 84-80 over CA Baptist. 19 points for Tubelis from Arizona. You got a nice contribution off the bench from Ballo and Kerr as well. 12 and 10 from Coloco as well. So, Arizona playing great ball right now. 50% from the field. So, they're rolling right along USC as well. And I'll talk about the 13 for the Pac-12. Excuse me. Those other teams be fighting for the 4th spot. I forgot about Arizona. 11-0. USC 12-0. UCLA, granted, they had a couple losses there, but I still expect them to be at the top. So, some of the other teams might be fighting for 4th come Pac-12 time. For CA Baptist, 11 points for Rowell. 3 for 3 for him from the 3-point land. 10 points for Nottage. The guard from Sydney. 2 for 8 for 3-point land, though. Got a little bit better than that. 11 points for Armstrong off the bench. And CA Baptist, who they got next? They got Southeast Missouri State. Should be a winnable game for them at home. Kind of, get a good bounce back win and whatnot. They kind of start off strong in the beginning of the season. You play some of those other bigger, stronger schools like Texas and whatnot. kind of got brought down back to earth a little bit. So he about to hit conference plays, and judged by that conference, you probably had to contend with Abilene Christian, but it seemed like everybody else you should be taken care of, in my eyes. Looking at it for the college slate for Monday, top 25 action. Well, Gonzaga plays North Arizona. Purdue is in action. Baylor's playing Alcorn State. I think all those teams should win their respective games. St. John's and St. Hart has to cancel because of forfeit because of COVID. So that would suck there. Going to Tuesday's lineup. Like I mentioned about Alabama playing Davidson in Birmingham. Should be a very good matchup. Like Taryn brought up, USC canceled against Oklahoma State. A very good one right here. And we'll see if Villanova can have a bounce back game because they've been taking some in the chin here the past few games. Xavier playing Villanova Tuesday, 6 p.m. Can Villanova bounce back? That's the thing right here. Because, like I said, Villanova has kind of been in some losing streak. Called a beatdown against Baylor. Called a beatdown against Creighton. Both away games, but it's still called a beatdown. Now you're back playing against a tough Xavier squad. Can they bounce back and win that game? I don't know, man. It's going to be real tough. You're talking about a Xavier team that beat Marquette the other day, 80-71. You got a guy from Birmingham, Kobe Jones, who I've seen play a few times down here. 11 points, 8 rebounds. Very big guard. The shooting got to be a little bit better come this game, but he's playing very well for them. 12 points, 8 rebounds for him, 3 assists so far this season. Playing very excellent ball for them, for Xavier. 19 points for Odom off the bench against that Marquette game. 13-12 off the bench for Nuge. So, can Villanova bounce back for that? I don't know. But we shall see them come Tuesday. Looking elsewhere, Tuesday before I wrap up here, the aforementioned Marquette playing UConn. That should be a good matchup. Arkansas playing Elon. I think Arkansas can bounce back in that game. But think about this for Arkansas. Hofstra, before they went out to Fayetteville and beat the Razorbacks, had the flight canceled. Caught a flight just enough to get out to Arkansas and beat the Razorbacks. Now, will Arkansas's confidence be down after losing a game like that and your opponent really hadn't much time to kind of pregame and whatnot? Maybe, maybe not. I know Illinois is 3-9, but as we've seen in the college basketball world so far this year, anybody can get got. I'm not saying Arkansas is going to lose to Illinois, but, they could be still in a state of shock, and they could drop this game. Then looking around, Kansas playing Colorado, former Big 12 foes. Kansas 9-1 so far this year. I think they'll win that game at Colorado. And they, Kansas, I think when the new polls come out, I think they creep back into the top 5, in my humble opinion. I'll leave it at this note before I head off here. yes, COVID sucks. It does. I know y'all probably sick and hear about COVID. It sucks. But for the job that I do, especially here in the state of Alabama, there's people willing to kind of do the right thing for the greater good of things. And I think we get everybody on that mindset to do the greater good things. I'm not saying things are going to go back to normal like it used to be about at least about 2-3 years ago. I'm not saying that. But I think if we get the better understanding of this thing, how to curve it, all that stuff, then, we won't be on here discussing, if players test positive, we shouldn't be canceling games and all that stuff. Or people in sports airways having silly takes about COVID. It's the nature of the beast now. We are where we are. And always in sports, there's always that saying, you have to adapt and overcome. And hopefully us in sports who cover it, who play it and whatnot, we adapt and overcome this thing. If you're new to this show, please do follow us on Twitter at FastBreakIESR. That is FastBreakIESR. You can follow my co-host, my tag team partner on the show, one Dontarius Locke, on Twitter at Black-813. That's Black-813. You follow for him for all Bucks, Magic, talk, and also track and field as well. You can follow me, Davidson Crooks, on Twitter at Spawn4288. That is Spawn4288. Also, I do another show on the side called The Crooks Process. My latest episode I dropped about a week ago, talking about, all the college football head coaching moves that happen. Why I don't blame Lincoln Riot at all going to USC. And I should drop another episode here sometime this week. Schedule been real busy and whatnot. So, do check us out on there on the social media platforms. Do check out iSportsRadio.com for all the latest updates on the shows here on the network. And also, like I said, check out iSportsRadio.com for our gift shop as well for the holiday season. I know it's kind of getting close to the wire and a lot of y'all late shoppers. So, get on that website and order some stuff so we get sent out to y'all. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in with me tonight. Dontarius Locke will be back with me on the next show. I don't know, we're going to be doing a show next Sunday, but we'll see. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk to you later. And we're out. Peace.